Are you feeling stuck, lost, tired, or uninspired? We've all been there, including myself. I'm Coach Des, mindset motivator and lifestyle entrepreneur. I'm here to tell you that the best, unapologetic, and limitless version of yourself is yet to come. The Born Unbreakable podcast is here to inspire just that. With motivating guests from all different walks of life and around the world, their stories will empower you to unlock abundance and your unbreakable spirit. Do you need accountability? Reach out to me for a free consultation of how I can support you in reaching your maximum potential. This episode is brought to you by Korma Date Coffee, the healthy alternative to coffee. This delicious date coffee has the health benefits of giving you natural energy, antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and fiber. Best of all, Korma is caffeine-free, no jitters, no anxiety, and no afternoon crash. Go to kormacafe.com, that's KORMACAFE.com, and enter discount code Born Unbreakable at checkout to get 10% off your order. Welcome to the Born Unbreakable podcast. I feel so much great energy and joy just being with you here today because I have an incredible guest. I can't wait to introduce her. But I just want to first start out and say, if this is the first time that you're tuning in to my podcast, thank you so much for being here. You know, every day is a new opportunity to get introduced to new things. I know there are thousands, I don't even know, there could be millions at this point of podcasts that you can choose to listen to. So if you landed here today, I just want to say thank you. And if you're back, thank you, because you keep coming back and listening to the amazing guests that I have on my show. But today, my special guest is Judith Joy. She is the coolest title by far of any guest that I think I've had, which is a manifestation mentor. She's also a coach, a speaker, and an author. And she has arguably one of the coolest jobs on the planet, which is to help people manifest more joy and manifest the possibilities and turn them into the reality that they want in their lives. She's spent over 10 years doing blogging. I've read some of her blogs. She's so empowering. She's definitely empowered me today. And I actually, before I clicked record on this interview, I was asking Judith if Joy was her real last name. So Judith, you have to comment on your last name and the story behind it, because I just particularly thought that was so fitting. And so now you can explain it.
Excellent. Well, as it happens, I went through a divorce. And he was doing some things that I didn't really find quite ethical. And I didn't want to be associated with him as much as, possible. So I decided I wanted a different last name. And I was like, all right, great. That decision's made, or that choice is made. Now what name? And so I kept trying on different names. And I'm like, well, I like diamonds. Okay, how about Judith Diamond? No, I don't like that. Okay, so I like this one. How about that? No, don't like that. And then I was walking through the living room, saw a book on the table that had been there for a while, picked it up and said, this book has to go back on the shelf. And my intuition, or my guides, or the universe, however you want to call it, was leading me to put this book back on the shelf. I noticed the book next to it, Are You Happy? And I went, oh, that's interesting. I pulled it out, looked at it, walked over to the table where I was doing some work, and something else happened. And then I was like, oh, I'm hungry. I'm going to go to the kitchen. And while my lunch was cooking, I was looking at a magazine, and there was an article about someone who changed their last name to Joy. And I went, oh, I get it. My last name is Joy.
Boom.
And into all of this, I was looking at the possibility of going back to my maiden name. And I'm like, no, I've grown so much since then. I really don't want to go backwards. So fast forward a whole bunch of years, and I'm married to a man now whose last name is my maiden name.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Does life really come to full circle like this? That's incredible. I have never heard a story like that in my life. He had the exact spelling and everything, your maiden name and his
Not
actual last
only
name?
that, my maiden name, he's got that. My first husband's first name, he's got that. I have 4 children. He has 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls, 2 boys, 2 girls. Now he's ahead of me in the grandchildren department. He's got 14 grandchildren and 5 great. I have 2 grandchildren and 1 on the way.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Yeah, that's a
and
big
then
number.
red is our favorite color, and we both like short socks, and we like the same smell in the deodorant. And it's like there's so many things that just come together.
Oh my
And
goodness,
it's
that's
amazing.
incredible. Red's my favorite color too, if you haven't noticed. I have a red lipstick on. Red's
Well,
a part of
look,
my branding color. Your color background is red.
yeah,
I just love it. It's
I'm
such
actually in my bedroom right now
your
because,
wall is red in there?
yeah,
I love that.
because I've got some guests here and they've taken over the other room.
You're
I'm
like,
like,
okay, I
we're
guess I'm
gonna
doing
have
this
some quiet.
podcast in my bedroom. Why not? Why not? It is, yeah, I mean, it's such a powerful color. It's vibrant. I think it pops. It says it has its own, g- glitter to it without it, you even having to talk about it. So I think
What's about passion?
yeah.
And where do you want passion?
Oh
In
yeah.
the bedroom.
Bingo. Bingo, people. That should be tip number 1 on the manifestation journey that we're here on today. But, I have to say the word manifestation is
Okay.
just it's like one of my favorite words. So, what and my word 2 years ago in 2019 was manifest. And then in 2020, it was magic. And then in 2021, or how did I get that wrong? Well, no, it was 2020, it was manifest. In 2021, it was magic. And then my word for 2022 is momentum. I don't know why they all start with an M. I really don't. That wasn't like a planned thing. They just come to me. The word just comes to me. So maybe next year it'll start with an A. I don't know. But so this year's it's momentum. But when I chose manifest, it spoke to me in so many different ways because I was just going through a period in my life where there was a lot of difficulties, there were different challenges. I think anybody who's listening to this podcast right now can relate to that because there probably isn't a time where there isn't something that's going on. Even if it's not us, maybe it's somebody we care about, maybe it's someone we love, maybe it's a best friend, maybe it's a coworker, it's a significant other. But the power of being able to manifest a different, feelings, actions, and all the way to different outcomes with the
Yeah.
decisions that we make is just so that's why I'm so intrigued by the name of what you do. But before we even get there, Judith, so now we know your story about your last name, but just tell a little bit more about you, tell a little bit more about your story and then how we got down this road for you to become a mentor in this space.
Okay. Well, what I love to do is to ignite that spark that creates the aha moments. And then when the fireworks happen, when they feel that moment of clarity, and I'm like, whoa, that's great. And then they realize that they're capable. And it's so much more than they ever thought possible. And the thing is, they have it inside them the whole time. It's just covered up by other stuff. It's covered up by the experiences and the problems. And then people feel limited by their problems. So what I do is I help them get into or access actually, their infinite possibilities within themselves. And I help them to clear a way to make that reality for them. So my gift is to help people to really step into who they really are. And so that they can create a better feeling and know that they matter. And while doing this, they're able to step into their power and create a life that works for them.
Did you always have that gifting? Did you know even from when at a young age?
Actually, in a roundabout way, no. But I am so incredibly grateful for you and for being on this podcast because in preparing for the podcast, I asked myself the question, what have I overcome? And I'm like, okay, I've overcome headaches, daily headaches. Now I don't get them quite daily, a couple times a week, but I know how to deal with them. Um, Fibromyalgia was one diagnosis. Who knows if I actually had it? Food sensitivities, dealing with that. And I'm like, yeah. These are all boring to me. So, what else is possible? What else did I overcome? And I went, talking. In specific, it's not talking. I was so shy and so closed that I didn't speak until I was 3. When I was in high school, people thought I was stuck up because I didn't speak. Um, and it was just like, oh my goodness. And then, you know, imagine in the bedroom not speaking, and imagine trying to make friends and not speaking. So, through all of this work, I've really overcome that because now, most people are afraid to public speak. And I've gotten all the way from not liking to speak to public speaking. And I'm like, yeah, win. We've got it going good.
Yeah. And that's a long journey,
Yeah.
especially if it's not something that you liked doing. What inspired you? What started to inspire you to use your voice differently?
I didn't even realize that that was the issue. I just kept clearing away. I was going through the divorce. I was not happy. I was in a black hole. And, I was like, oh, you know, daily headaches, marriage isn't working. He found somebody else, the whole bit. And I'm like, I've got to get myself out of this. And in the process of looking for a solution for my headaches, I went to a chiropractor and she said, there's this guy in the back room. Now he's doing all this other stuff. And I don't know what it is, but people are getting better. I'm like, sign me up. Well, he was like doing energy on the head and he was tapping and moving and like, okay, great. So then I started feeling better and then I started asking questions. And then I'd say, hey, what about this? What about that? And he'd say, talk to this teacher, read this book, read this article, go to this class. And then I moved from patient to colleague. And we're still working together. I coach him, he coaches me. And what makes my coaching so different and his is that we're coming from an energy healing perspective. And so it's all about the feeling. It's not really about what's happening over here in your mind that you think is controlling everything, but it's really your feelings about those thoughts that are controlling everything. So if you can change the feeling, then you're good. And especially if you can get your thoughts and feelings moving in the same direction, that's really, really good. Because if your thoughts go left and your feelings go right, feelings win.
Wow. That is so true. That's like that one quote where it's like your thoughts become your feelings and your feelings become your actions and your actions become your life. And, it goes down this path. So what do we do? I'm thinking about daily life.
Okay.
and the struggles that it comes with, right? Like nobody's exempt. Nobody lives on an, well, maybe some people do live on an island, and I just have to find the island and we can all visit there. But for the most part, we're in the world. You can't escape the pandemic. You can't escape some of the things that we want to tune out because they're not the greatest things. And if your thoughts, so let's start with the thoughts, are overwhelmed with everything that's going on in your external environment, maybe it's coupled with your to-do list because there's too many things on there to begin with, so there's not even enough time to do them all. So now it's just all, it's a lot.
Okay.
It's a lot going on. Where do we get in touch with our feelings to be able to start to shift that? And that way we can move into an energy that is positive and uplifting and, action oriented instead of just kind of like drab.
So what is your question actually?
Is how do we move from the state of overwhelm to feelings of positivity and joy?
Okay. There's a couple different ways to do that. The most important is to be able to touch peace. If you can touch peace for just a moment, then you feel better. And if you can string together a bunch of moments, then you're going to feel even better than that. So different ways to touch peace. Deep breathing, where when you swing, you hang it up just a little bit and you pause and then you go back down. And then you hit the other peak and you pause and you go back down. Try the same thing with your breathing. You breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, pause, and exhale, 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 exhale. Now, when you're focused on your breathing, you're focused on the peace because that's where you're headed. You've taken your focus off of whatever's bothering you. And what you focus on is what you get. So if you focus on, oh no, I'm overwhelmed, I have so much to do. Okay, then the universe says, you want to be overwhelmed? Here, we'll give you more things to do. But if you touch that moment of peace, things settle down. And then you're going, okay, let me ask some questions. And this is where you get curious. And you ask the questions that open some doors. They're not the yes or no questions. These are the questions like, what is it that I would truly love to have? I would love to have more of this peaceful feeling. Okay, so then I have more of the peaceful feeling. And then, yeah, there it is. And then once you're touching more of the peaceful feeling, then things happen because the universe says, oh, she's looking for peace. Here, let's bring this experience in. Let's bring that experience in. Now, other ways to reach it are meditation. And there's a bunch of different kinds of meditation. Some people, it's exercise. Some people, it's staring at a candle. Some people, it's, I don't know, expanding their energy, going out and just expanding and expanding and expanding. But every time that you do it, you know that your true desire is that peace. Now, with the pandemic, I went, all right, it sucks for all the people that aren't feeling well and for the people that are dying. But for me personally, it was a time to be quiet. And I had the space to be quiet. And I didn't have to go to this party that I didn't really want to go to, but so-and-so wanted me to go,
Mm-hmm.
And then just think about spinach. If you go to the grocery store, and the whole pandemic thing has taught me about pivoting. You go to the grocery store and you want spinach, and there isn't any spinach. And you went, okay, we won't have spinach. What else can we have? So we can have kale, we can have asparagus, whatever it is you want. And you're just like, all right, next thing. Because someone who is overwhelmed can go to the store and go, spinach, I wanted spinach, and everybody wants spinach, and nobody likes anything else, and blah, 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 blah. It's just spinach.
Yeah. It's just spinach.
Yeah.
There's so many other choices. But it's like that with anything else.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is amazing, is that we can pivot. It's a choice to do that. And we can stay in anger or frustration in a moment like that, or we can look at and examine other possibilities, other options, other considerations. Maybe today's the day we try Brussels sprouts. Maybe today's that day, you know?
Or even if you try Brussels sprouts and you're going, well, I tried it this way before and that recipe didn't work, look for a different recipe. And guess
Yeah.
what? We all have little computers in our hands with our cell phones. So look a recipe and see if there's anything else you have to buy.
Yeah. I had Brussels sprouts the other day, made a different way, and it was fabulous. Never had them that way. So there's always new things, to explore that are upon us. And I love that outlook that you talked about with the pandemic, because, it's kind of like the good old adage, the good old saying where people say, you can look at the glass as half empty or as half full. And I like coming back to that because it's something that we can all visualize together. And I do think it's a little bit of that mindset, shift that we're making.
Well, there's so many times that we're going, oh, but I'm not happy because you did such and such. Or this outside thing is happening, therefore I'm not happy. Well, you've just given your power over to that outside thing. If you decide that I'm going to be happy no matter what, then even though that outside thing is happening, I can still be happy. And I made that choice in 2019. And I remember I was mad at my husband and I'd been complaining for 3 weeks. And then I got a cold and I started laughing because I knew that I had lowered my vibration so low that I was the same resonance with a cold.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, all complaining stops. And I stopped complaining about him. And then I was home teaching. And then I was like, okay, what are we teaching? And I'm teaching people about how to be high vibe. Well, I am enjoying this so much. And one night after teaching at a homeless shelter, I came home and I was just flying. And then he calls and he says, hey, well, blah, 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 blah. And my response was, I'm going to be high vibe no matter what. And it was just like this huge declaration to the universe. And then the pandemic happened a couple months later. And I was like, all right, I'm going to be high vibe no matter what. I'm going to feel good no matter what is happening around me. I'm going to be happy. And it was a decision followed up by many small choices that keep me on the road. Now, if I wake up and I have a headache, I can make the choice to go, this sucks, my life sucks, I'm in pain, blah, 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 blah. Or I can go, oh, headache. All right, now what can I do to feel happy again? What can I do to feel better? And it can be that I meditate. It could be that I journal. It could be that I read a book. It can be a spiritual book. It can be a romance book. It doesn't matter. The whole idea is to feel better than you do now. You're not going to jump from horrible to great in one movement. It's a series of small movements. And then when you are practiced at it, then you can jump from yuck to great. Because it's like you've already paved the way. You know how to do it.
Yeah. Those series of decisions. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, most people don't realize that everything is a choice. Yes, some things happen, but then how you react to it, that's your choice.
Yes.
Now think of it in terms of I have to cross the street. I step into the street. That's the first choice. Actually, first choice is that you want to get to the other side. So the second choice is that you step into the street. A car comes. That's something that's happening. I have a choice. I can move forward. I can stay where I'm at. I can step backwards. And just because I stepped forward doesn't mean I have to stay there or I have to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
I can make a different choice.
Yeah. At first, I thought you were going to say, and then you stepped in poop. Because that happens sometimes. But even that, like, because I've had these moments where it's like, oh, and I've seen different reactions even from myself. There's those moments where I'm like, seriously, I can't believe this is terrible. These are my good shoes. And then there's another way that I've looked at it. I'm like, I think it's like lucky when you do this. So it must be because I'm stepping into like luck, even though it kind of looks like this. So it'll be fine. I can wash this off, but there's actually something good coming. I mean, but it's totally a mindset
Right.
thing, right?
Right.
But
Most of the time, if you are increasing your intuition, before you step in the dog poop, you're going to happen to look down. You're going to happen to like tilt and have to walk around
yeah.
that way.
Yes.
Yeah. The intuition will save you.
Yeah. And also, if you do have a dog, it would be helpful if you picked up their poop. Just saying. Just
Yes.
saying. That would be another helpful thing for all of us. But, one of the things that I'm wondering is about what are some of the common things that you see? And is there anything different that you've noticed as you've worked with people through the pandemic, or have you largely seen some of the same kinds of things that people have been wanting to manifest more of in their life?
A lot of people right now are isolated and depressed. So there's a little bit more of that. And suicides in the younger ages are huge right now. And it's learning how to be with yourself. Now, as an introvert, for me, it's relatively easy. For an extrovert, it's a little bit different because you charge your battery being in a group. But if you can peel away everything that's not working for you, then that allows the things that are working to come up.
Mm-hmm. That is true. Yeah. That was tough for me in the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I was in denial. I'm an extrovert by nature. And I think the first 2 weeks, I was like, this is okay. I mean, it can't last that long. I mean, how long can this really last? And then, when 2 weeks turned into 2 months, then I was like, okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is still here. And I struggled with that, not being able to be in the same energy that I was used to. Just having just the freedom really to be amongst friends very spontaneously, stopping by there. I would go to, when I lived in California, I live in Nevada now. I would always go to like my friend's coffee shop. She's got this great coffee shop and I could go anytime, see a smiling face, get my drink. And I was like, I can't even go inside. I can't even see the faces. I can't give hugs. I'm a hugger. Where are the hugs? I mean, there was all
Me
these
too.
things that I was like, I don't know if I can handle this. I don't know if I can handle this. This is too much. And I actually, and I don't do this very often with my feelings, but I think I had done that day like an Instagram live because I just didn't know what else to do. I was like, well, I can only talk to people through social media because I can't talk to anyone in person because it's really bad at that time in the beginning. They're like, stay home,
Yeah.
don't step outside. It's the dark devil. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. And I put that out there into the universe. Like, I actually need help. Like, this sucks. Does anyone have any ideas? I'm feeling kind of down. And it was my friend's husband that owns the coffee shop that actually saw it and said, "Hey, you know what I do? I would suggest watching something funny."
Yes.
And I was like,
Great.
"That's brilliant." And I totally did. And that day after work, I did, and it was awesome.
There is a book out there. Martin is the first name of the author. I think it's Seligman. He talks about curing some disease that he had by laughter. And he just watched a lot of things, and he just laughed and laughed and laughed. So laughter raises your vibration.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really does. I think I watched a whole special, like a comedy special or something, and it was just shifted my mood, my energy, and it was amazing. But that, you know, that is a big thing that you're talking about with folks experiencing more isolation, and it's disheartening, to see young people think about and contemplate suicide, in that isolation. So these little decisions that, going back to what you said earlier, that we can do, that are just a series that we can do throughout the day to raise our vibration can,
Yeah.
help.
Well, during the pandemic, my granddaughter was 7 when we started. And we started a weekly a Zoom session with her. And it started that it was going to be writing club, that the two of us were going to write stories together. She's a great reader, great writer. So I'm like, yeah, this is going to work. Well, it ended up by the time we were done that she's showing me all these different things on the computer. Well, how do you do that? And how do you do that? And she's teaching me.
I love it.
But we did that for almost a year. But it was something both of us looked forward to.
Yeah.
And that's what most people need, is that something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking forward to going to the grocery store, then it's a different feeling if you're going, oh, I can't go to the
The
grocery
spinach
store.
is not going to be there. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
But it's all about how you feel about it. So if you're watching a funny movie and you're laughing, you feel good. Well, guess what? There's a whole lot of dystopian movies right now.
Yeah.
And they do not make you feel good. They bring your vibration down. And if your vibration comes down, then you get depressed. And if you get depressed, then you don't do anything and you can't get off your couch. And if you can't get off your couch, the government, whoever the powers in the government are, can just slide in and do something.
Oof.
So the government, in my opinion, it benefits the government if your vibration is low.
Yes.
If your vibration starts to rise and you get up to anger, you've got more energy to do something. You've got more power. It's not any fun, but it's better than depression. You move up even further and you get to the point where you accept responsibility for everything in your life. Everything. And then it's like, oh, I've got compassion for people. I've got gratitude. I've got this. I've got that. I've got this. And then whatever the government's doing, it's not going to bother you as much. And you have power to create change.
Yeah.
And you can actually create change just by thinking of it. But that only happens when your vibration is high. That only happens after you've accepted responsibility for everything in your life. I was talking to my daughter-in-law this morning, and she's pregnant, and she's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to let other people help me. Everything's got to be exactly right for her. She's a lovely person, but she wants to take it all in on herself. At the same time, she wants my son to help her. I'm like, do you see that you got two opposing things going on here?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
The
because
control, but the need at the same time.
she's lovely, I love her. But the idea of holding on so tightly limits what he can do. If she lets go a little bit, doesn't even have to be all the way, just a little bit, it opens the space to allow him to step in to help.
Mhm.
And that he didn't change at all. It's all about her. It's coming from her. Anything that's happening in your world is coming from you
Yes.
and how you react to it.
We have so much power and we don't even
Oh my
realize it.
gosh, yes.
Isn't that amazing when you really think about it?
Mm-hmm.
In the mastermind group that I'm in, when we meet once a week, the first question that our coach of the group asks us is, what's a win or what's a way that you took back your power this week?
Oh, I like that.
And I'm always like, my power. Yes, I have that. Like this epiphany on a regular basis, because I do think that we often don't recognize
Yeah.
that it's all within us. Like you said that, a few minutes ago. It's all within here. It's not out there, you know. We control what other thing that we have because the spinach wasn't there. It's okay. I'm gonna
Well,
I'm
think
gonna
about it. When you go
make
to a
that a
restaurant,
t-shirt.
you don't sit down and go, bring me anything.
This is true.
You go and you say, hey, I'd like a hamburger. I'd like fries.
Mhm,
You tell the waiter.
mhm,
So if the waiter's the universe, your intention of having hamburger and fries, you tell the waiter.
mhm.
And the waiter can go get them, or he can say, we're just fresh out of it
Yes.
because you didn't really address your intention of, I'm hungry, I'd like something. Yeah. So let's open it up a little bit. But what you ask for comes back to you.
Mhm.
The waiter brings you food.
Yes,
You
that's all
don't
it is.
walk into a restaurant with the intention of eating and they're going, sorry, no food.
Yeah. Yeah, the options, you have to choose, or maybe they don't have exactly what you want at first, but, it is interesting because when I went to a restaurant recently, and shame on them for not updating their menu, but there was a gentleman that was next to me, and I think he was there with his wife. And it was like an early dinner, so it wasn't late. It was kind of not too crowded. They got attention or service pretty quickly. And he did ask for something initially that they didn't have. I think it was like steak or something. And he was pretty upset that they didn't have it, because I think he had that in his mind that that's what he was going to have. And unfortunately, I think the second thing that he asked for, they didn't have that either. And I was just like, oh boy. But, again, if they could have put something that was like, we're out of these items. And then that way your mind isn't intended on those things. But, and so finally, he was just like, well, what do you have? Because I'm running out of things that I want here. And so his energy was kind of not in a great place. And she talked him through it, and she did a good job of kind of making other things sounds just so fabulous. But even the waitress in that moment had a choice, right? She could have given into that energy, which I think is sometimes very easy to do, because when a vibration is where it's at, it's easy to go right into that vibration and go, yeah, you're right. We didn't update our menu. It's terrible. This is terrible. Or you could go, they didn't update the menu, but let me tell you about these items. And
Yeah.
actually this one is similar. This one has even better veggies like there's different ways that you can approach that to change the energy, because I do think that the other power that we have is to shift the energy in a room where it's not so great, and that. right? You walk in and it's down and it's drab and you could hear by the words that people are using, or like if like a good example, right? Because we're experiencing those that we all just had that with the holidays,
Right.
from Thanksgiving to all of the things. If you're in America, and maybe there's around the world, there's different holiday traditions that people have had over the last couple of weeks. Joining a table, a lunch table, a dinner table, it could be great energy where everyone's joyful and excited, or it could be, talking about something that brings people down. Oh, did you watch the news? I can't believe this is happening, blah. And then you come in, you have the power, if you wanted to use it, to change that.
You have
Right?
choices all leading up to it.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's even that, like, oh, we're going to that person's house. Oh, it's always like not that great. I don't even want to go. It just sounds terrible. Every year they just do that whole thing where they talk about this and, or it could be like, you know what? I'm excited about this. I'm excited for the opportunity to go and connect. We haven't seen these folks for a while, and I'm just going to give it my best no matter what's going on. But that's choice too.
Right. I used to have a hard time going to my dad's. Lovely man, just high expectations.
Yeah.
And I've worked on that over the years. And I've got it down to a system now that when I go there, I'm like, all right, when I leave, I would like to feel, and then whatever it is, I would like to feel fun, laughter, light and airy. I would like to feel like it was the best day ever. I do not have to control how that happens. But 9 times out of 10, something's going to happen that completely changes it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, this is great. I have set the expectation. Hey, universe, this is what I'm looking for. I have taken the time to decide what it is I wanted instead of, oh, every time I go there, it's this. Well, that's the same thing as setting an intention.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to the party or your grandma's house and you don't like it, then go, all right, something wonderful is going to happen from this. One time, my husband and I were going to Omaha, Nebraska, and we were taking one of my daughters with. And she's like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I'm like, you're coming. You have to get out of the house. You're coming. So we went because my husband's friends with the musician, and we were going for, he was playing in a bar, so we were going to watch it. She's like, something wonderful is going to happen. I'm like, okay. She met her best friend.
That's just about as wonderful as it gets right there.
Yeah. And the best friend was dating the musician's son, who's also a musician. But it was like instant connection. Like my daughter was very intense about hockey, and the hockey game happened to be playing. And the other girl was like, oh, a little intense. By the time they went to the bathroom and came back, they were best friends.
You kidding me?
No. So most people, when they are looking at their desire, their dream, their goal, whatever you want to call it, they think in terms of a tactic or a strategy. If you want to write a book, why do you want to write the book? What are you trying to get out into the world? I want to share who I am so that people can create a life that works for them. I figured it out. And I figured out something that really works, and it might work for you. So I'm going to write this book to see if it works for you. Totally different than, well, my goal is to write 5 pages a day.
Yeah.
See, one is exciting and uplifting, and the other feels so flat.
Oh, so flat.
The writing 5 pages a day may be the strategy or the tactic that you use to get to your goal.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to know what the goal is first. You have to know what your dream is. And even if you go higher, my dream is to help people find their joy. And I'm using manifestation as a way to get to that because everybody has something that they want to do. And if you don't, I'll help you find it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you want to be president of the United States or if you just want everybody talking at the dinner table, preferably not over everybody else, you know.
Yes. That right there is a great accomplishment.
But I'm going to use all these energy techniques and all the coaching and then craft something for you so that you can have your dream.
Mm-hmm. So I know people are probably listening thinking that sounds really cool, Judith. And we'll talk about in a minute, how people can reach you because there are folks who might need some help with this. This is maybe uncharted territory or chasing after dreams might be a little bit more lofty than where they're at the moment. But you talked about breathing, and I thought that was so great as one way for us to get connected and centered and get peace. What are maybe one or two other things that you found that people can do in their day just for themselves to be able to manifest more joy in their day?
Do something that you're passionate about. It doesn't matter if it's painting, exercising, standing on one foot. Whatever it is, find something that you're passionate about and then work or play with it every day. And if you're into pour painting, like I currently into pour painting, if
Ooh.
I'm not actually painting, then I can watch a video. And it is so calming to me. And I'm like, oh, wow, look at that. And maybe I'll read a book. And maybe I'll go to the store and get some supply. Or maybe I'll just stand there and look at my paintings and go, wow, that's really cool. I did that.
Yeah.
But find something that you're passionate about. And don't go like, well, I tried that. And it's not that. Okay, try something else.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have a lot of money, all right, try something. It could be taking pencil to paper and drawing circles. It doesn't matter. It could be painting your bedroom. It could be reading a book that you get from the library. And it could be going to Barnes and Nobles and get a book or Amazon. And it doesn't matter. It could be talking to people. But find something that you're passionate about. I recently saw something that said that if you work more than 55 hours a week, then you're more inclined to get diseases and you're more inclined to get heart attacks and diabetes and cancer and blah, 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 blah. I disagree. It's not the number of hours that make a difference. It's your feelings about those hours. So if you're doing something that you love to do, then you're not going to be upset by doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't love what you're doing, switch your focus and find something about it that you love.
Yeah.
This money is coming in and it is helping to provide for my family. And my family is so important to me that I am willing to do this. And I love my family. And I love that I can put food on the table. And I love that we get to have a Christmas this year. And I love that I can give my kids something. And I love, 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 and I love, and I love, and I love, and I love. The job then becomes a vehicle to doing what you love.
Yeah.
So
That's beautiful.
focus, find something you're passionate about,
Mhm.
and shifting your focus to find what makes you happy, what you love, even though what it is you're looking at might not be great.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Like
Is there,
dog poop.
yeah,
Hallelujah. My dog's system is working.
yeah, it's true. Oh boy, because there, it could have been that constipation or something was going on, and now this is everything's working. We're working here. This is a good thing, But there's always a positive way and something to learn from everything, and so just being able to, if nothing else, if we're just in the energy of knowing that we have power and have the ability to use it at any moment is just, it's so invigorating. But I want to ask you some questions that'll help my listeners just get to know you a little bit better. So I had mentioned earlier a word of intention for the year. So I talked about mine being momentum for 2022. If you had to choose a word for the year, what would yours be?
Now, I'm not overthinking this, but the word that came in was butterfly.
I love that word.
Yeah. I'll have to play with that a little bit.
It's also very visually appealing, and the energy attached to that, I think, is really that's high vibration. Like when I think about it, just the visual around it. I'm not wearing it right now, but it's one of my favorite rings. I had just set it down as a butterfly ring. It's just, I don't know. I wear it, and it just gives me that little energy. So I
Well,
love that.
if you look at a butterfly, they're waving their wings, but it's not like
Yeah,
they're waving, they're moving, they're
gentleness.
graceful. They touch on a flower and then they go to the next one. They get what they can from this flower, then they go
Mhm.
to this flower.
Very graceful,
Yeah. And
beautiful.
no worries.
Hmm. I love it. That's
Yeah.
probably my favorite word that I've heard. Okay. We've talked about limiting beliefs because you had mentioned some of the different things that you've overcome. So what about a bucket list item? What is a
Ooh.
bucket list item that you have that you want to do in your time here on the earth?
I that's a really hard question. I don't actually have a bucket list because if I want something, I go do it.
That's even more brilliant, Judith. You're like, bucket list. I do what I want when I want to. I don't even need one of those.
Right? Like when people say, "What is it that you do?" I'm like, anything I want.
Yeah. It's so true. I love that. Duh. Oh, that's so good. Okay. What would you say is your superpower?
Oh, intuitive awareness. My intuition is so good. And then my awareness is a mile wide. And like, I had a client and she told me that she had an affair. Now, I could have been upset by it because my ex-husband had it and that could have triggered me and blah, 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 blah. And, oh, that's wrong, whatever. But I stopped and I said, huh, how do I feel about that? Not out loud, but I'm okay with it. So the question that popped out was, so was it fun?
She must have felt safe. She had psychological safety now that you've created and you're listening for her to be able to be honest with you, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can open yourself up to be accepting of other people, then that gives them the space to be who they are. And it gives you the space to see the potential in them.
That is the best gift I really think that we can give to people is just the ability to be heard,
Yeah.
you know, and for them to feel like it's okay to be who they are.
Well, so many people are lost because they don't realize that they matter. You've got all these self-limiting beliefs up here. There's ton of them. Or maybe they're down here.
Yeah.
But either way, however you do the analogy, you've got a whole lot of self-limiting beliefs. But then when you get down to it, they want freedom to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get down to it, they're going like, oh, I want to know that I'm enough. And then you get down a little bit more and you go, I want to know that I matter.
Yeah. It's so true. Yeah, I have a good friend. His name's Hayden Humphrey. He lives in Chicago, and he had started this clothing line. And one day I saw him. He was wearing this T-shirt, and it said, "You matter." And it was so simple yet profound. I was like, "Hey, your T-shirt. What's going on with your T-shirt?" And then he told me the whole story about his line and everything, and that was the point of it. It's like, well, that's a great point. Now you're making it, and it's very clear that we matter, and that's fundamentally, I think, something that we all want to feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's great. So no better way to feel it than to wear it. Hey,
Yeah.
and remind someone else of that too. I love that. But Judith, what's one last piece of advice that you would want to give to anyone listening right now?
What you focus on is what you get. So keep your focus on what it is that you would like to create.
Beautiful. I love that. So hopefully people will be very focused today.
Yeah. Can I give you a little hint?
Yeah.
If you put the word not in there, the universe doesn't hear the word not. So if you're trying not to see the big elephant in the room, it's pink and purple polka dots. All you can visualize is the elephant with pink and purple polka dots.
Yes.
It's totally different than I would like to see a room filled with happy people that have space to move about.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
imagine a pink and purple elephant and then everybody having to work around them. And so they're all squished up.
Yeah. Oh,
So if
that's
you
so
take the
true.
word, I don't want headaches. Well, what is it that I do want? I would like to feel fantastic. So now
Yeah.
it's at, this is where I'm going. Okay. Universe, this is where I'm going. I'm going to feel fantastic. I've got a choice here. Okay, I'm going to meditate. Now I got another choice. I'm going to put a blanket on while I meditate. Got another choice. It's going to be, 20-minute meditation. Oh, look at that, 40 minutes. Great. I've got another choice. I'm going to go for a walk. I've got another choice. And then pretty soon I'm feeling great. I just take all these little micro movements to get up there.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
what you focus on is what you get.
yeah. What a fun climb if it was like that, right?
It is like that.
Like that. Just
Yes.
all those things and appreciating all those little things along the way that
Yeah.
get us to the big mountaintop. Oh, I love that. I love that. But what about this is beautiful because today's, episode was a glimpse into these things that we can do. We could do it right now. We could
Yep.
do it while we're listening to this podcast, taking a deep breath or, having a positive thought or thinking about that phone call that we're going to make to go encourage someone. We can think about and do all these things today. What if there's somebody who wants a little bit more support? Maybe they want, a little bit of guidance with this. How might they be able to reach you? Is there any programs or something that you offer that might help someone who just needs a little bit more support in this area?
Right now, we've got 2 books, Surviving Your Teenager and Being Happy Anyway, and Dear Future Lover, Bring Your Book Boyfriend to Life. This is how I got my husband.
Mm.
This is how I survived my kids.
Ooh. People are like, hold on, wait a minute. What are those called again? Okay.
Surviving Your Teenager and Being Happy Anyway.
Okay.
Dear Future Lover, Bring Your Book Boyfriend to Life.
Wow, that's good.
So I've got blogs. I've got coaching. a single coaching session or 4 coaching sessions where you save money.
Yeah.
And we're going to have classes coming up. But for right now, that's what we've got. And I've got micro mini workshops that are about 3 minutes. And like one workshop talks about laughter, and one workshop talks about smiling or joy or gratitude, or just, start your day with a moment of joy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I
And
love
you can find me on my website, yes,
Mhm.
or no. The company is Yes With Joy. So you can go to yeswithjoy.com, but you can also do judithjoy.com.
Mhm.
And everything's there. I'm in the process of switching over to another website.
Mhm.
And so we've got the, beginning website.
Yeah, yeah. But most brilliant name ever. You
Thank
started
you.
with that. And with that, that manifests all the things right there. Judith Joy. Oh my gosh. You've really inspired me today to remember the power that
Thank
I
you.
have. And I hope anyone listening is reminded of their power
Yeah.
to manifest the most beautiful life that you can imagine. Whether you believe that in this moment or not, it is absolutely possible, and maybe today was a glimpse into that possibility. And if that is the case, then I'm so happy for that. That is the gift of what taking a little bit of time, taking an hour of your day can do, is just to show you what that possibility is. So Judith, I can't thank you enough for coming and just giving your time, your wisdom, and your butterfly energy with us today.
Thank you so much. Oh, and people can reach me on social media stuff too.
Oh yeah. What tell us. How do we reach you on social media?
Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
I'm not doing TikTok.
just about everywhere. It's hard to keep. I don't even know how people would have time to go to all the different places. But if you make the stop to judithjoy.com, there are links to the other platforms on there. And I'll make sure in the show notes that people can see that in case they want to reach out. But this has just been such a joy for me. And I'm so grateful. I'm excited to follow and just be reminded of the manifestation that we have within us. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for doing what you do, helping so many people by sharing so many different things from other people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, it actually goes back to what you were saying with like, why do we do, what we do? Because if someone were to say, you know, um, why do you do a podcast? I actually get asked that, a lot. Like, that seems like a lot of work. Why do you do that? When my answer is what it is, which is to help one person at a time.
Yeah.
And so I can learn one day at a time with each of these magnificent moments that I have that are like $1,000,000 moments because I can't put a price on them. That's why. There's no question. It's not, I don't think about it as work in the same, but it's like it goes back to what you said. When you do something you're passionate about, it's not how many hours it takes to do it or all the steps it takes to get it so that it can reach people, because there are quite a few steps, but I don't think about those steps. I think about what I'm doing, and that's it almost negates all the, I don't, the hours, that equates to, because it's about the purpose. And that's, I think when we look at things like that, whether it's, this podcast or something else, it changes the energy of what you give to it, and,
Yeah.
and why you wake up and do it every day.
Very true. Very
So
true. Well, thank you so much.
you just reminded me of that. Now, now I'm going to go have a moment. Oh, amazing. I'm rocking the Tori Kelly vibes today, and I'm feeling so good about manifesting my best life. And I hope that you are feeling so good about manifesting your best life after hearing from Judith Joy. I still can't get over her story about her last name. I was so intrigued by it. She was like, oh yeah, I chose it. She manifested all of that because she chose her name. So the biggest thing that I want to highlight from today's episode, my takeaway, is reminding ourselves of our power. We have infinite power within us. Infinite power. Think about that for just a second. You have the power today to shift your energy, to make a decision that could change the rest of your life, to make a decision that might change someone else's life. You have a choice when you go into the world and you live intentionally, whether it's related to your finances, your future, your children, your partner, your career, anything. The answers are within us. I know it might sound cheesy or cliche, but I wouldn't be saying it if it wasn't true. I hope that you've realized, as we are halfway through the first month of 2022, that this can be a year where you accomplish beyond your wildest dreams. Think about 6 months from now. What do you want that to look like? Where do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be around you? Use this moment to manifest that right now. Think about that. Summertime, 2022, June. The sun is out. It's a beautiful day. The air is fresh. The water is moving beautifully, reminding us that we have movement around us, that there's liveliness around us. What would that day look like? The money in your bank account, the money you're able to give, the moments that you're able to give, all of that. We have the power right now in this moment today as I'm here with you and you're listening to this podcast, you're listening to this episode, to manifest that. How crazy is that? Oh my gosh, my summer's gonna be bomb.com. I'm just saying. We have the power right now. Stop, that's crazy. It's awesome. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Born Unbreakable podcast. Tune in again next time. Remember that you are your only limit, so take action today. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time on the next episode. So much in store for 2022. I want you here. I want you with me. I want you on this journey. See you next time. Bye.